Greetings, this is the Crunchy Fit, and today this will be part 2 to what if female deku was a chelicerate. Now, since I only got 2 entries for the ships, I will be doing a wheel spin instead of the usual ratio thing, so that's fair. So I'm going to spin this wheel, and whichever ship it lands on will be the ship for the series. But the ship that it doesn't land on will be the ship for the next series, so everybody gets what they want. So here we go. See what we get. So the ship for this series will be... Okay, so the ship for this series will be Shoto Todoroki. Yay! Alright, so Sue will be the ship for the next series, so... Okay, so let us continue from where we left off. So, Shell would head back to Nezu's house, Nezu's place, since she lived there, and she's greeted in by Nezu, as he says that he heard about how she dealt with Bakugo, that Bakugo boy, today. And he said, while it wasn't the best course of action you could have taken, it was acceptable at that moment in time. Whereas Shell would then nod her head as she understood. Now, we then get to the next day, where they finish get to the end of the day, where All Might comes charging through the door, saying his catchphrase of, "I am here," where everybody stands up and cheers that All Might is their teacher, except for Shell. Now, if you're wondering, Shell isn't really a big fan of heroes, but she does quite want to be a hero. She wants to be a hero because she wants to stop anything that Altera does in the future. So that's why she wants to become a hero. And if you're wondering why she doesn't have one for all yet, this is sort of like a test. This is going to be sort of like a test All Might is going to do. He doesn't tell the entire class that it's just going to be a normal hero versus villains, but All Might's going to see if Shell is worthy of getting one for all. So, they then get down to the battleground training, as everybody is in their hero suits, and Shell walks out like this. As everybody says, "Where's her hero costume?" and saying, "This is her hero costume." As they asked where did she get it from, she says, "Oh no, I didn't get it from anywhere. This has always been on me since I was born." As she explains that what she has on her is a natural part of her body. As she then says that that's also basically impenetrable as well. So the heroes versus villains are rounded up, as the teams are as normal as they are in... Actually, no, Shell will be teamed up with Shoto for this one, and Bakugo will still be teamed up with Ida. Now, Shell does have a plan in place to fight against Bakugo, since she knows that he will probably come after her first. As once they both get into the building, Todoroki freezes it, but Bakugo just begins flying around the building with his explosions. As once Shell and Todoroki get to the same level as Bakugo, Bakugo jumps around the corner and tries to blow up Todoroki, but Shell stops that by using the tail that you see right here, using that to smack Bakugo out of the air. Now, this is sharpened at the end. This does leave like a minor cut. Like, it's not deep enough to where it'd be fatal, but it's deep enough to draw a little bit of blood. Where, as Shell then slams Bakugo's head into the wall by kicking it, knocking Bakugo out as she then puts the capture tape around him. Since Ida doesn't really have any ways of countermeasuring the ice in the area, and since Shell is chelicerate, which basically live in near sub-zero temperatures, she's basically all right with the ice around her. As once they then enter the area, once they enter the ballroom, Ida then goes on about his monologue about him having to accept to being him being the villain for this exercise. As Ida then spots Shell and Todoroki as he then revs up the engine on his leg as he then tries to kick Shell. But remember when I said her jaws are very strong? This is where that's going to come in, as she then basically bites down on Ida's leg, basically not allowing it to move, like holding him down as Todoroki goes over to touch the bomb, as All Might says, "Hero Team wins." And Bakugo is taken to Recovery Girl office, and Ida is basically nearly left unharmed as All Might asked who was the MVP of that match, as Momo would respond with it had to have been Todoroki, since he had frozen the floor with his ice and had basically blocked any countermeasures Ida had come up with. But All Might states that is actually incorrect, and that the MVP of that match was Shell, since she managed to best both Bakugo Katsuki and Ida with her being more intelligent and a lot faster than Bakugo and Ida. So Shell is declared the MVP of the match as All Might takes her off to the side. And as she's walking away with All Might, Todoroki looks back at her and says to himself that her hair kind of reminds him of his mother. As once All Might and Shell are away from everyone else, All Might then asks Shell if she is willing to accept All Might's quirk, as Shell would then say that she will accept All Might's quirk, since she would probably be the most versatile person to use it. So Shell eats a piece of All Might's hair as she then gains One for All. And I'd say she could probably use about 12%. She can use 12% of One for All. As for the next couple weeks, they will cut forward a couple weeks to where they are going to the USJ. Where, once they get there, while they're going there, Sue then asks Shell what her quirk is, as since Aizawa and Nezu hadn't told anybody, and only the people who are at the Altera base raid know that Shell was artificially created. She then covers it up by saying, it's an armor and super strength quirk. It's an armor quirk and a super strength quirk. as she's trying to cover up the one-for-all thing and the fact that and with the armor, and she also explained that she can extend the armor on her fingertips to make the nail part of the armor a lot sharper. As Todoroki finds this interesting, as he thought he was the only person in UA with 2 quirks. Now, once they get there, Aizawa then says that they've arrived, as they then step out and head into the USG. Once they get in there, they're greeted by 13, who says a speech about all quirks can be dangerous and have the potential to kill. As Kirishima then looks down as a portal opens up, as he says, "Whoa, you've even got fake villains here?" As Aizawa would look down and state, "Those aren't fake villains, those are real villains. 13 protect the children," as he then jumps down to go and fight the villains. As once Aizawa gets down there, the same thing happens in canon with them being split up by Kurogiri, with Shell headed into the water area. Now, remember in the first part when I said that she could choose whether she can change to about 100 meters when in the water? I don't know the exact depths of the shipwreck zone in the USJ, but I'll say it's about more than 100 meters deep and more than 100 meters wide. So she essentially swims downward, where that shark villain who tried to attack the Izuku in canon chased her down. Once he gets close enough, Shell... Now, at this point, Shell is about 100 meters exactly. And she then turns back around and just... the shark villain's, trying to get them, thinking that this is going to be easy, he then opens up its jaws, but then, emerging from the depths of it, he sees that just a giant toothed maw approaching him. When he tries to swim away, the jaws just clamp shut, as that villain is basically eaten by Shell. As when Sue and Mineta are on the boat, all the villains are surrounding them. Sue notices that the villains are dropping one by one, into the water, as one villain is left, as he's absolutely terrified, as Sue looks in and she sees these 2 eyes looking up at out of the water, as Shell then Shell rises out from the water with the villain in her mouth with that little pool of water, and she then clamps shut, filtering out all the water. As that villain is also eaten. As Shell then puts her hand down right next to the boat to lift Sue and Mineta back to land, as she begins to swim there, using her tail. As once they get there, Shell then steps onto dry land, as she then shrinks. As once she's gone all the water off of her, she then shrinks down, as she notices that Aizawa is currently being damaged by the Nomu, and just before the Nomu could do anything, Shigaraki then dashes towards Sue, about to disintegrate her, but then Shell basically bites off Shigaraki's hand. As Shigaraki is in pain, as he yells out, "Nomu, kill that bitch," as the Nomu then charges forward about to punch her, as Shell then lifts up her arm and basically charges one for all throughout her body, as she manages to block the blow from the Nomu, and then basically smack it with with her tail, but she goes flying from the punch from the Nomu. Because she may have not taken any damage, but she was hit by an stupendous amount of force. As one of the villains that was there charges up, I think you might know this, a stasis rifle. As once he fires it at her, she's basically frozen still. With the gnome, with Shigaraki saying, finally we got her. Now let's get out of here before the heroes show up. As the door is busted down, as All Might then states that he is here. As he notices Aizawa on the ground, all of the students are terrified. 13 is down, and Shell is currently in a stasis field. And All Might is angered by this as he charges at the Nomu to pummel it, and the stasis barrier basically wears off at this time, and the villain is so distracted that the villain that fired is so distracted by All Might that he doesn't see Shell charging towards him as she fires up 100% of one, as she fires up 12% of One for All into her arm, as she then throws a punch, basically sending the villain flying, and the stasis rifle falls to the ground. As All Might beats the Nomu, Shigaraki and Kurogiri retreat while the other villains are captured. Now, All Might and Aizawa notice the stasis rifle and look at it as they see the insignia of Altera on it. Now, once Shell sees the Altera insignia, she is furious. She just goes into a rage and basically destroys it, like snapping the stasis rifle in half like a twig and throwing it into the shipwreck zone. As she then storms off, enraged by this. As everybody would be confused on why she acted like that when she saw the stasis rifle. As Sue, since she's still in the water area, goes down to recover it. As she lifts it up, takes it up, and sees that it has the insignia of a company that she is well aware of, Altera. Since I don't know what Sue's dad's occupation is, I'll say that her dad worked at Altera. So Sue would figure out why she's enraged, thinking maybe something happened between her and Altera that caused her to act that way whenever she saw the Altera insignia. As once they leave, Shoto then goes to look for Shell since she wasn't with the police. As he finds her somewhere in the forest, letting off some steam using One for All, basically nearly breaking her arms in the process. She's kicked down I'd say about 10 to 12 trees. As Shell would notice that Shoto is there and ask him what is he doing here. Just angrily looking at him. As Todoroki said, I came to see why you were so angry about seeing that Altera insignia. As she looks over to Todoroki, as she basically ends up having an emotional breakdown. As she's basically weeping at this point. As Todoroki asks her what was wrong, as she basically explains what happened to her when she was younger, the experiments, the experiments, the fact that she was created to be a weapon to be used by Altera for dealing with rebellious colonies or dealing with any hostile predators on planet 4546b. Before you ask, yes, that planet does exist in this universe. That's where they got the chelicerate cells from. That's where they got this chelicerate from. So Todoroki would understand that and say, as he promises that he will make sure that Altera will never lay their hands on her ever again. As Shell is basically comforted by this, but she is also still quite curious on. She can still, and since she has heightened sense of smell, she can smell that Shoto is sad yet angry at the same time, but she doesn't bring it up, and that's where I'm going to be leaving it off. If you enjoyed this part, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to see more of this, leave a comment, and I will make another part to this. Also, I'll be planning on doing another I have two series that I want to try to do, and one that has been suggested to me, and I will get to that one that's suggested. So I will see you guys later. Actually, no, I'll tell you what the two series I have planned are. They are, What If Female Deku Was a Ghoul? I know people have done the ghoul one before, but I don't think they've done a female one before. The only ones I've seen are usually like the texting stories. And the other is, What If Female Deku Had the Blacklight Virus? So, whichever one you want, I will try to do, but if you want another part, let me know. Let me know, and I will see you guys next time.